Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, June 17th, Town of Monroe Town Board meeting. Thank you all for being here. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can I get a motion to open up this evening's meeting?
I will make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
So moved. Okay, community announcements. Mary, you want to cover that first one?
Oh, well, we have Amanda Primiano from the Monroe Free Library here. She's going to tell us all the wonderful things that are going on at the library, just some of the more current things, because there's a lot going on there. As I said last week, it's not your grandmother's library anymore. So,
Good evening, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
there's a slide button on top if you could pull it towards you.
Towards me.
Towards you.
You know, I watch these videos enough. You think I'd know how to do it by now?
I think it's on.
Yeah, it's
Is
on.
it? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So thanks again for giving the library the opportunity to speak tonight. We do have some exciting things to share. We just wrapped up our statistics for 2023, and 110,000 items were checked out from the Monroe Free Library, which is an increase from the previous year. We offered over 429 programs, and from those programs, 3,269 people attended. Again, both an increase in programming and an increase in attendance. We also offer one-on-one support, which is where someone from the community can book a librarian for 30 minutes, and they can get tech help, they can get job searching help, help with the library services, genealogy help, and in 2023, 218 community members booked a librarian, which is, again, an increase from the previous year.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Book the library.
Book a librarian, yes. We also have 2 community spaces that can be reserved for free. Those spaces were reserved and used officially 986 times. People can come in to do studying, they can do work, they can, people have taken interviews in there, they've done tests, community groups come in and use that space, and this is all for free. And I say officially because there are people that come into the rooms where we're not catching them and recording that stat. So I would say well over 1,000 people have used those spaces in the past year. We just wrapped up a 10-month collaboration with the school district, Monroe Woodbury School District. We collaborated with 3 other public libraries, and we distributed over 2,000 library cards to kindergartners, 2nd graders, 6th graders, and 9th graders. Of that total, Monroe Free Library issued 740 library cards. By providing those cards, we were able to give these children earlier access to literature and literacy. We're promoting literacy. It increases their access to free technology, free language learning apps, ebooks, audiobooks, free online professional tutoring, and so much more. So we were very excited to get that project off the ground, and we look forward to doing it next year. Currently, we are still in the middle of our Around the World series, and this is where we are exploring all of the continents of the world, and in order to do that, we're doing that through programming. We're encouraging our patrons to read, watch, and listen to different material related to that particular continent. So this month is Asia, so we're doing programming all related to Asia. People can also participate by grabbing a Take and Make, which is a craft that they can take with them. They can contribute to our monthly community project, as well as enter into a raffle for our monthly prizes and our grand prize. So this program will continue on until August, and then the wrap-up party will be in September, where we will do the grand prize drawing. Next week, we will kick off our summer reading programs, where it'll be a party outside on the lawn under the big tent, where parents can sign up their children for summer reading. Many of you attended last year, which was exciting. You're more than welcome to come back. Parents can come and kids can play and learn all about our summer reading programs and the things that we'll be offering during the summer. We will also, again, be hosting our Movies on the Lawn, where we invite our community to come down to the library with their blankets and their chairs and their snacks and watch a movie with us under the stars. This will run from June to September, and it's on Friday nights. We also have alternative rain dates, and these movies are free of charge and no registration required. So come on down. Our first movie is June 28th, and we'll be showing Zootopia. Lastly, we are also working towards two projects that we are just getting underway. One is the process of applying for New York State construction grant for upgraded security cameras, lighting, and an HVAC system for our children's area. We are also working towards becoming a sustainable certified library. In order to do that, there's a certification process we have to go through. It's this structure where we have to kind of complete a certain number of tasks to prove that we are environmentally sustainable, economically sustainable, and demonstrate how we're increasing our social equitability. And that's what's going on at the Monroe Free Library.
So I know that Councilwoman Bingham asked me about the grant regarding Millennium, and she's been working with you on that.
Yes,
and
thank you
I know
so much
she's been
for
No,
connecting
no,
us.
listen, she's the one that initiated it, and I'm glad, you
Yeah.
know, when I spoke to Taryn, that we could accommodate you because you're on our budget sheet.
No,
so.
we truly appreciate that additional support. I did meet with her, and we will follow up. Our grant committee just met today, and we're looking at which grant that we want to focus on for this time period. So I definitely appreciate it, and we
Great.
will be following up with her.
Yeah, no problem. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Anybody
much.
have any
Great
other
stuff.
questions?
Great stuff.
Any other questions? No? Okay,
Thanks,
thank you
Amanda.
very much, Amanda. Okay, Boy Scout Troop 440.
Good evening, Supervisor Cardone and members of the Town Board. As the-
Just state your name and your address, please.
Steve Thaw, Monroe, New York.
Okay.
Members of the Town Board, as the Committee Chairman of Troop 440, on behalf of the Scouts and leaders, we're here tonight to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude for all you, Supervisor Cardone, have done for them and all that you continue to do. You have always given Troop 440 your unwavering support and dedication in all that we do. You have also given us your guidance and leadership throughout the many community service projects and numerous Eagle Scout service projects that Troop 440 has done to benefit the residents of the town of Monroe over the years. Supervisor Cardone, along with Councilman Scancarello, Councilwoman Hull, and Parks Director Anne Marie Morris, always go out of their way to support the boys of Troop 440. You have all been there for our fundraisers, both with your generosity personally and through the town of Monroe, including choosing Troop 440 as the beneficiary for the Food Truck Festival in 2022. You, Supervisor Cardone, have always and continue to support the youth in the town of Monroe, whether it be with youth sports, our schools, as well as the Girl Scouts and, of course, the Boy Scout programs. You always make it a point to be there at our events, especially our Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremonies. The events and projects that the boys of Troop 440 have done, both for the town of Monroe and for other beneficiaries, promote recreation and preservation for the outdoors and give back to our community and all the residents of the town of Monroe, which is something that we in Troop 440 know that you're extremely passionate about. Troop 440 is extremely grateful for the friendship that we share with you and look forward to the many years ahead of us and all the positivity you bring to this troop and its members, both past and present. Troop 440 would like to present you with a plaque as a token of our sincere appreciation and gratitude, as we are indebted to you for all that you do. So with that, I ask the members of Troop 440 if they can please come forward. And the plaque reads, presented to Tony Cardone, Supervisor, Town of Monroe, in recognition and sincere appreciation for your many years of dedication, devotion, and commitment to the members of BSA Troop 440. It is through your guidance and unwavering support of these young men that enables them to succeed in becoming Eagle Scouts and future leaders. With gratitude, the leaders and scouts of Troop 440, Monroe, New York, established 1971, presented this day, June 17, 2024. If I can ask you to come down. Yeah. And we apologize for the members of the troop that couldn't be here with us tonight. There's some are studying for Regents tomorrow morning.
This is not about me. These bunch of Boy Scouts, this Troop 440 and their leaders have worked with all of us, and they continue to do great work. We've done, I believe, 8 Eagle Scout projects that have beautified the parks, have beautified Town Hall here, and I've been to 3 different troops' Eagle Scout ceremonies. I will tell you that no one has leadership like these boys do in their troop leaders. They are just above and beyond anything anyone can imagine. They produce great boys, great Eagle Scouts, and I hope all of you achieve that goal. So thank you very much, much appreciated, and you guys go out and do the good for our community that you've always done. Thank you. Skip around a little. We're going to go to 3.4, the Orange County Association of Towns, Villages, and Cities Golf Outing, which is on June 24th. June 25th, Tuesday, June 25th. It's at the Wallkill Golf Course at Circleville Park. It's their 44th annual golf outing. It's a great day, and afterwards they have a clam bake, which is at Circleville Park. And let me tell you, aside from the clams, there's sausage and peppers, steak, some libations. There are shrimp, everything that you can imagine to eat. So it's a great time. Okay, next up is Souls for Souls shoe drive. Grace McCleary had called me about a week and a half ago and asked if she could put some bins in Town Hall and the Senior Center, and I will tell you, it has been received more phenomenally than she has imagined. They pulled up with a Suburban, the second pickup. Army and Navy was extremely generous and donated the whole back of the truck with the seat down was filled with shoes from Army and Navy.
60 boxes.
Was that?
60 boxes.
60 boxes. So she's doing great. It's going to go on through the middle of August. I believe it's August 24th. So if you have gently used or new shoes that you've never worn, come on down and donate it. I believe the Village Hall also has a drop-off box. Village of Monroe Farmers Market. Sal, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I was down at the farmer's market. I think this is their second week of operation. Looks like they have a few new vendors. Produce is always fresh and good. They have a pickle vendor, a few other vendors. It seems like it gets better every week. It's run by the Village of Monroe. Great farmer's market. I believe the hours are Sunday from, John, what time is it? 9? 9 to 1 on Sunday. Thank you, John. Get down there and support that.
Okay. Next up is Village of Monroe Concert Series. Mary, I don't know, you want to read it just to change it up? Or?
I don't have
Here.
the handout, but
Here.
basically the concert series runs on Saturdays. June 8th, they had their Monroe's Got Talent. We had 3 wonderful winners on that. And it goes through August 17th, and it's 7 to 9 p.m. It's right on the mill ponds. It's great to get a nice little breeze, and it's a wonderful place. Come out and meet your neighbors and friends. It's a wonderful activity, and should it rain, they hold it on Sunday, the day after.
Thank you. Okay. Motion to open up, I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of public hearing regarding local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 57 zoning concerning the regulations governing tree preservation.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who will aye?
Okay.
No public comment?
So moved. No public comment? Okay. Anybody here have anything to say?
I think we had a fruitful discussion between the planner and Bonnie and the Conservation Commission. So I was happy to see that it's progressing.
Okay, are we ready to close this, or should we keep it open?
Are we at our final iteration?
I believe we are.
Okay. So then if we're at a final iteration and we had that good meeting, then I think we can close it.
Okay. All right, you want?
Sure. I make a motion that we close the public hearing regarding local law H-V1 of 2022 to amend Chapter 57 concerning the regulations governing tree preservation.
I'll second it. Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who will aye?
Okay, so we'll adopt it at our next meeting, Brian?
Yeah, we can put it on for the next meeting for adoption.
Okay. All right, thank you. Hey, boys, wait, before you leave.
I tried to sneak
No,
out.
you're going to sneak out, but I just want to make sure, and you let me know if Mr. Thal doesn't, you guys all got to get an extra badge for tonight, all right? All right, thank you, boys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
A lot of East Style
Oh, I
projects
know,
waiting
right?
there. Jesus.
Sunday. We'll talk.
It's a start. Okay. Next up, have a good night. Thank you. 4.3 is a motion. I'll make a motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing regarding short-term rental application at 21 Front Street, section block and lot 16-3-1.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who will aye?
So moved.
No public comment?
No public comment. Okay.
Mr. Connolly said that he wasn't ready for tonight's meeting.
Okay,
so
yeah, I just want to make sure.
we should probably keep it open.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to keep it open until July 15th at 7 PM or immediately thereafter.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 4.5 is a motion to open the continuation of public hearing regarding zone change petition, project 230160, 18 Stairway. The SBL is 31-25. I believe Mr. Higgins is here. Thank you. Do I have a
Yes.
second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
So moved.
Yes, hi, good evening. Dave Higgins from Blank Engineering and Surveying. I was here 2 weeks ago for the petition that the applicant made, Alice Serpy and Nick Gordon. This is for the request.
Just speak into the mic.
Oh, is it not on? Slide it toward you,
Yeah.
please.
That was my fault.
There we go.
Okay. So again, David Higgins from Lancatilli Engineering and Surveying. I was here 2 weeks ago for the application. It's a petition made by Alice Serpy and Nick Gordon. This is for the property at 18 Stairway. And just to rehash where we were, we had an application that was made to the planning board for site plan for an existing garage located on the property. And essentially, the garage, which is in place and being used by the owner for landscape storage, turns out is not permitted in the GB zoning district. So in lieu of making an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance, we elected to make a petition to the town board to change the zoning district in the GB district to allow landscape and contractor storage in that district. So that's the application. I believe the public hearing was open. There was I believe, request, a referral to the Orange County Department of Planning under the 239. I believe the response came back, I think it was this morning. Hopefully the town received a copy of that.
Yes.
Copy of it.
Okay. Yeah, to be honest with you, I did not have a chance to review it, so I would like to do that.
I've also forwarded to the planner, Max, for his review,
Yeah.
the comment. Even though it was, the recommendation was local determination, there was a comment from the county recommending that it should be either a use variance or that they should allow it as a special permitted use, rather than, I guess it's listed as of right now.
Oh, okay.
But again, that's not a binding comment, but that was a recommendation from the county.
Okay.
So I forwarded that to Max, but I have not heard back.
Okay. So then,
I mean, Mr. Higgins, do you guys have any comment on that, or you saw the GML?
Yeah, I think we anticipated, I guess maybe it was not worded quite properly, I think in the petition, that it be a permitted use. I think it was understood anyway. They would probably, if it was going to be included by this board, it would probably be subject to site plan approval and special use permit from the planning board, as is the case, I believe, in the light industry and the heavy industry districts. So we certainly would have no objection to that. That's essentially, I think, what we anticipated, although I may not have made that clear in the original petition. But that's what we anticipated.
okay. All right, I mean, I hate to do this to you, but because it came in today, I don't know if anybody else had a chance to.
I didn't have a
did
chance
not.
to take a look at it, no.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that we keep open the continuation of the public hearing regarding the zone change petition, project number 230160 at 18 Stairway, to July 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Understood. Okay.
I'll
Dave,
second.
if you guys are good with it, then maybe we'll have Max make that change, as a special permitted use. This way it'll be in a form that could be approved at the next meeting.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Okay. All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
We got to vote on that. No, do I have a second?
There's
Yeah,
no public
Sal
comment for
seconded.
that.
Okay, call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, so moved.
Supervisor, there was no public comment.
Thank you.
Thank
What's
you.
that?
There was no public
No
comment.
public comment? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Item 4.7 is a motion to open the continuation of the public hearing for proposed local law E-V1 of 2023, Chapter 41, sewage system revisions. I'll make the motion.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay.
No public comment.
No public comment. Anything to add, Mary?
I did speak to Sean. He was very tied up the past week with Planning Board and WIA grant applications, so he was going to try to get it to us today. I did not see it in my email, so I'm going to ask for a continuation to July 15th.
Okay. Are you making that motion?
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing till July 15th at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as practicable.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 4.9, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing regarding the short-term rental at 8 Keith Lane, Section Block and Lot 3-3-4. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
So moved. Madam Clerk?
So with public comment, I'm going to call the first speaker. I'm then going to read the speaker who will be up after them, so you're prepared to speak. And just a reminder, you'll have 5 minutes. So first is going to be Diane Egan.
Just state your name and your address, where you live, please. Thank you. Who's next?
I'm sorry, Albert Wonder will be next.
All right, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Diane Egan, Montauk Road, Monroe, Round Lake Park, Supervisor Cardone, members of the town board. I'm a member of Round Lake Park Association, and I've been a resident for 40 years. I favor keeping open and continuing the public hearing on 8 Keith Lane. It's my understanding that an application for a short-term rental permit with the intent to provide accommodation for rent to no more than 12 people at one time and for lengths of time not in excess of 30 days is being made. As a member of Round Lake Park Association, this change affects not just that property and the immediate neighbors, but also the entire community of Round Lake Park and possibly the delicate ecosystem of Round Lake. The zoning of the property that has made the application is single-family occupancy as far as I understand it. Any change in zoning that impacts the community should have a compelling reason for that change. Again, that's my understanding. If the owner wishes to be a landlord, there are many places that they can buy other than this neighborhood, which is zoned for single families. I understand our foundational individual rights to own property, but communities have rights as well, and those are reflected in the zoning laws that are passed by our representatives. To buy property and then try to subvert those laws governing that property and completely change the nature of the community seems to make a mockery of that notion of self-rule. What's the point of having laws when variances to those laws are granted for no compelling reason except for one's profit? Seems to me that this is how a town dies, a death by 1,000 cuts or 1,000 variances. It's a town-assisted suicide. Why should it be so hard to deny this application? I say let's enforce the zoning laws that are there and have been put there with the consent of the governed. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I would advocate that you keep this public hearing open. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Albert Wonder. Albert Wonder. After Albert will be Mary Stroh Walsh.
You're moving fast tonight, Al, I noticed.
Albert Wonder, Round Lake Park. I live on Keith Lane. Keith Lane is not a road. It's my driveway. They have a right-of-way. Our driveway is a quarter mile long. They live a tenth of a mile off of that in a right. They can never find it because they come in so fast. They go down to our driveways, turn around, knock things down, go across the lawn. They took out 6 mailboxes one time. And then they finally get there, and when they wake up in the morning, they go the wrong way again, and it starts all over. I've been fighting this for 4 years. And with my observation, if one car is there, there's between 5 and 7 people in one car, if you include kids. You have 2 cars there, you're almost to the limit of 6. I've seen 14 cars, 10 cars, 6 cars. They don't even have they don't even have a permit, and they've been doing this for 4 years. I waited the whole time with the dots of the I's and the T's. You passed the law. I called Ben. I finally put a written complaint in. He went down, found all these violations, told him not to do it. I called him back and told him they were there. He went down and put a sign on and says you can't have nobody there. It hasn't stopped. Last weekend, there were 6 cars all weekend long. Who's going to enforce the law? What's the sense in having the law? That's all I want to know. People in Round Lake Park don't even know it's a driveway. It's not a road. The town made them put that sign up there when they ran out of space for mailboxes on Round Lake Park Road. Our address was always Round Lake Park Road, but they changed it, and now it's Keith Lane.
I think when they did the development there is when it got
There's
changed.
no development.
Well, the subdivision.
There's no subdivision.
Yeah, there's a subdivision.
There's no subdivision. There was 2 houses there. I've been there for 45 years. Mizell's owned the property.
Right.
You used to have to get through O'Gorman's property, which I don't know if anybody knows about it. You used to have to come all the way down around the lake and go to them houses. 8 Keith Lane is landlocked. Mizell bought the building lot in Round Lake Park to make that driveway. Until 25 years ago, you couldn't even find that driveway. He gave the right-of-way to Ginsbergs, who lived there, and after that, it sold 2 times, and finally, they acquired it.
But just to clarify, the reason it's called Keith Lane
It's because,
is because when Keith was there,
right,
they subdivided that into 2 parcels. That's
it was
how they.
always, they didn't subdivide it. You have, Mizell's has 10 acres. He bought it all off of Judge O'Gorman. Judge O'Gorman was in an iron lung. Every time he needed money, Mizell's bought another acre of land. So they moved the property lines. They didn't subdivide. They put Lynn's house on 4 acres and Keith's house on 4 acres. The 6 acres they left me on. It was never subdivided. There's only 2 extra houses there in the last 45 years.
All right, maybe I'm using the wrong term. I thought there was a subdivision there for Keith
No,
Lane.
never a subdivision, because it was just, you can move property lines within your own property without doing a subdivision. There's no subdivision.
Oh, you have to apply for it. You have to fill out a form with the building department.
Yeah, but there was no subdivision.
Okay, that's fine.
He built a house for his mother and he built a house for himself.
I stand corrected.
But they haven't stopped going there. They haven't stopped bringing people in there. I mean, I've had Carriage Joel school buses dropping people off. And then they try to turn around and down by our house to go out. I make them back up. They have vans coming in, big vans, 20 people at a time getting out of them. I mean, it's got to stop. I just want to know who's going to enforce the law. What's the sense of waiting all this time to make a law that nobody's enforcing? That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mary Stroh Walsh. After Mary will be Julio Cotto.
I am Mary Stroh Walsh. That's my legal name. I've been, oh, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I am Mary Stroh Walsh. That's my legal name. I've been corresponding with you under the name I normally go by, which is Molly Walsh Stroh. I am a longtime resident of Round Lake Park, which I believe is, in fact, the oldest development in all of Monroe. My family have had property there since the 1920s. I'm going to read from one of my letters here just to reiterate a point here. The stated legislative intent of the Town Code 40-1 purports to allow and regulate transient rental uses of residential dwellings and to preserve the town's appropriately balanced and residential nature and unique tranquil neighborhood character as enacted by the town's zoning, and to protect and ensure the safety of its current and future residents, and to prevent to the greatest extent practicable public safety risks, including but not limited to noise, trash, traffic, and parking impacts associated with unregulated short-term dwellings. Wording that would seem to indicate and recognize the role of zoning in the preservation of the character of the community, and recognize the possibility that might be in conflict with the allowance of transient rental property operation, such as is proposed by the permission for a short-term rental at Keith Lane. I have a petition that is signed by 49 people, signatures gathered in just the past 2 days of people who object to the short-term rental on the grounds that it would increase the traffic.
Pass that petition to the clerk after you're done, please.
Okay, all right. Now, I understand that in the Chapter 40, the Section 4015 covers operation without a permit. I'm wondering whether violations were issued after my 20th of May letter that included an ad for the lake house, as they call it, done by King David Mansions that I found online. And I would note that I am also asking about whether a violation was issued for the 10th of May notice from David Carreras, which contained the video from the King David Mansion LLC, I guess, which featured the lake house in the video. So they have not discontinued advertising, and in fact, I saw that video again today. It's still up online. Okay, I have photographs of of people coming to the lake house that are from the 1st of June. There are 5 cars parked there, and there's a family going inside. Would that be of interest to you?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then there's another photograph that's a little bit fuzzy because it's taken from the video, and it was done, I believe, just today. So I will give you this packet of information. So I don't know whether notices of violation were sent after the 20th of March or the 10th of May, but it seems to me that the operation without a permit wording in Chapter 40 would require that they had to be sent violation notices, and if they have, then they have violated the application permit. I would also draw your attention to an advertisement that is from the computer, and in this advertisement they specifically have the lake house featured here. The permit they've applied for is for a 12-person occupancy. This ad declares that they sleep 20 at that house. So that would be fraudulent misrepresentation.
What's the date on that ad?
The date on the thing. This is from from when I found it. It's March 19th. So that was my original. one. And then there's a bit of a text here that says that it has 8 bedrooms and 20 beds. So,
Time is up.
So they've continued to advertise this place, and in fact, they've continued operating all through their permit application process and through the resolution of some violations that I guess interfered with their application for a while, and thus we had a delay on this. I understand that these violations of advertising without having a permit and the fraudulent representation of things should
Time is up.
should result in a 24-month a moratorium on their being able to complete the application.
Unfortunately, your time is up, so I have to cut you off.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
can I
it.
give, who can I give
Yes. Give it to Valerie.
Julio Cotto.
Give it to Valerie. She's the one
After
in the
Julio
blue suit with the pink tie.
will be Sue Pendergast.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Julio Cotto, 268 Cromwell Hill Road.
You can turn that up if it's more comfortable for you.
I've lived there for the past 5 years. Supervisor Cardone, esteemed board. My name is Julio Cotto, and I'm the president of the Round Lake Park Association, speaking on behalf of approximately 185 properties in the SR15 community known as Round Lake Park. Together, we oversee a 3.6-acre lakefront property within our neighborhood. I would like to ask the members of Round Lake Park here present today to please stand up.
Good-looking crew.
Thank you. Supervisor Cardone, as you know, as an owner in our residence, Round Lake Park is accessible via 4 roads with no through traffics to other neighborhoods except for Keith Lane, which lies outside our legal boundary. Keith Lane operates akin to a shared driveway perpendicular to Round Lake Park Road, serving its homes. Residents of Keith Lane depend on Round Lake Park for essential services such as mail delivery and waste collection, significantly increasing traffic and waste management demands on our community. While most Keith Lane residents are familiar and respect our community's norms, the short-term rental property at 8 Keith Lane introduces unfamiliar guests who often speed through our streets. In fact, data shows that vehicles associated with short-term rentals exceed the posted 30-mile-per-hour limit by an average of 15 miles per hour, significantly endangering our community's safety. Moreover, these guests frequently exceed trash limits, contributing to environmental concerns and fire risk, as evidenced by an increase in reported waste-related incidents since the property began operating as a short-term rental. I would like to point out that the property is currently in operation with occupants having resided on the property as recently as last weekend. Enforcement of community regulations regarding speed limits, noise levels, trash disposals, and other standards remain ambiguous. Residents seek clear guidance on enforcement responsibilities, reporting procedures, and penalties for repeated violations. The proximity of the short-term rental property at 8 Keith Lane to our community's lakefront property, which is collectively owned and cherished by Round Lake Park residents, amplifies these concerns. The lakefront property falls within the 500 proximity of notification to 8 Keith Lane, so every resident of Round Lake Park must be properly notified of such developments. It is crucial to maintaining community harmony and safety. Round Lake Park Association has a registered address with the town for tax purposes. The same address can be used to notify the community of such necessary developments in our community. In conclusion, Round Lake Park community values the privacy and exclusivity of our lakefront property for dues-paying members and their guests. However, operational practices at the short-term rental property at 8 Keith Lane, including capacity discrepancies and compliance with town codes, raise significant concerns among residents. As mentioned before, online advertisements, including but not limited to videos, advertise 8 Keith Lane as a lakefront property with 20 beds. If every bed contains the unlikely 1 person per bed, that property is already operating at 166 capacity, violating the 12-person maximum associated with the home. The property targets multiple family vacationers, which easily will put its capacity at an even higher rate. We are not confident that the owners and operators of 8 Keith Lane will follow codes and procedures, as they have shown to ignore limitations involving the property in their ad campaigns. The property has been fully operational. Has a temporary permit been granted allowing the property to operate while its permit application is under review, or have the owners yet again taken liberties with a disregard for the policies already in place? In the Town Code of Operation Without a Permit, Section 40-15, Part B says advertising for short-term rental home without a valid permit number is prohibited and constitutes a violation of this chapter. In Section C, it further states that evidence of operation may include advertising, such as video, rental agreements, and reviews, such which you can find online if you look up the property under King David Mansions. Therefore, we urge the denial of the short-term rental permit for 8 Keith Lane and call for immediate legislative action to address escalating traffic issues, particularly with summer approaching and children's activities intensifying in our neighborhood. Additionally, we request enhanced enforcement measures and transparent reporting mechanisms to safeguard our community's well-being. I appreciate for taking the time to listen to my statement, and I speak on behalf of the Round Lake Park community. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cotto.
Sue Pendergast. After Sue Pendergast will be Kathleen Bayer.
Good night.
This is very high.
It's on.
It's on, okay. Hi, my name is Susan Pendergast. I live at 28 Tefanic Avenue. I have been a resident in that house for 64 years. All right. I am speaking today in response to the public notice short-term rental permit application my husband and I received in the mail. We live close to Keith Lane. The individual applied for a short-term rental permit to allow rental of a single-family house located on 8 Keith Lane in Monroe. The public notice stated that the house has 6 bedrooms and the request is to allow rental with a maximum occupancy of 12 people for periods of 30 days or less. In an email I received by Mr. Maldonado, he stated that we, meaning those in receipt of the public notice, would be notified when this hearing would be scheduled. He wrote that the town clerk would advertise it and the applicant is obligated to send out mailings and would need to show proof of those mailings to the town board. No one, as of today, I asked all the people that I know that received those the application for the rental permit, if they received any kind of notice from the applicant, and no one has at this time. Also, the applicant needed to show proof of those mailings to the town board, and like I said, no one received those mailings as of tonight. I am not understanding why this meeting has been scheduled for today when the applicant failed to meet his obligation to give us the proper notice as required by our Monroe Town Board. The house on Keith Lane has been used for short-term rental in the past, negatively impacting our quiet and rural community. Residents witnessed an increase in traffic at all hours of the night, including both cars, vans, and trucks, as there is only one way to enter and exit this property. We have a lot of young children in the neighborhood who like to ride bikes and play, as well as a lot of adults who enjoy walking. With the prospect of having increased traffic on our peaceful neighborhood roads, safety for our children, pets, and ourselves is a huge concern. And I have questions. For one, how will the maximum occupancy of the short-term rental be monitored as 8 Keith Lane is advertised on social media as the lake house with 7 bedrooms plus 1 kid's room and sleeping 20, as opposed to 6 bedrooms, sleeping 12 that's stated on the application for the short-term rental permit we received? Also, who will be monitoring the maximum occupancy and number of days rented as it is stated on the application for the short-term rental permit? Number 3, how can we contact those who will be monitoring the short-term rental property if any issues arise?
Number 4, will renters be allowed to invite guests to stay at the house on 8 Keith Lane during their time renting? Number 5, how will this be monitored and who will be checking to ensure that additional people will not be added within each 30-day time frame? Number 6, will there be penalties imposed for unlawfulness or violations as per Chapter 40 of the Registration and Permitting of the Property Amendment if more than 12 people occupy the short-term rental and/or, for the time exceeding 30 days? And I'd like to know what kind of penalties. Will there be a cancellation of this permit altogether if violations exceed a specified number of times? Another question is, will the rental manager be available to the residents of Round Lake Park if a problem arises? Number 10, how are we to contact the rental manager if there is a problem or concern? Another question is, who do we contact if we are not able to connect with the rental manager to have a problem addressed in a speedy manner, not 24 hours after or 48 hours after? Will there be background checks on those who are renting short-term? Who will monitor these checks? Many of the residents in Round Lake Park are members of a lake association. Our beach area on Round Lake is a private beach for those who live within a specific boundary area and pay yearly dues. If trespassing on Round Lake Park Beach becomes an issue, as it has in the past, who are we to contact for assistance? I request that this short-term rental for 8 Keith Lane be denied because of such a permit will negatively impact our quality of life in our peaceful Round Lake Park community as we all know it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Kathleen Bayer. After Kathleen will be Patricia Salazar.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Kathleen Bayer. Whoops. I live at 446 Round Lake Park Road. I purchased my home 2 years ago, and I've come to love my community and my neighborhood. I'm here tonight because a short-term rental application has been submitted for 8 Keith Lane. Keith Lane is a few steps down the block from me. This application and tonight's hearing were brought to my attention from members of the Round Lake Park Association, to which I belong. I'm opposed to this application for a number of reasons. Living within 500 feet of 8 Keith Lane, I should have been notified of the short-term rental application and of tonight's hearing. I received no such notification. I am a member of Round Lake Park Association. The association's property is within 500 feet of 8 Keith Lane. Round Lake Park Association members were not notified of the short-term rental application nor tonight's hearing. 8 Keith Lane continues to have renters even though they currently have no permit for short-term renters, to my knowledge. The applicant continues to advertise for renters at 8 Keith Lane even though they have no short-term rental permit. I'm concerned that there is currently little or no enforcement of our code regulations. Since this applicant shows such blatant disregard for our codes and disrespect to our neighborhood, I believe this application should be rejected. It's my understanding that if an applicant knowingly violates our community code, the applicant should be immediately stopped. The application should be immediately stopped and put on hold for 2 years. I stand in support of my neighbors who spoke in opposition to this application of a short-term rental at 8 Keith Lane. I strongly urge that you reject this application for short-term rental at 8 Keith Lane, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much.
Patricia Salazar. After Patricia will be Jonathan DeJoy.
I'm petite, so
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
that's
gonna,
fine.
Is that okay? Okay.
How are you?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Supervisor Cardone and Board of members of the board. My name's Patricia Salazar. I live on Montauk Road. I am part of the Round Lake Park community. I am relatively new to the community. I am a mother to a 6-year-old boy who I adore, and many of you have seen me in walking around with him. And for me, Round Lake Park, I understand it to be a gem, right? I moved here, I invested in Monroe, specifically this community, because I see the beauty of this town, the beauty of the community, the beauty of the area. And so I am concerned that I am investing in a community that may not be investing in the safety of my child. Only because, as many of my community members have mentioned, traffic safety of my child is obviously my most priority, as well as the other children in the area. And I think for me, I want to see enforcement. I moved up here because I want safety, I want the community that is Round Lake Park and the town of Monroe. And I want to be reassured that laws that are in place can be enforced and the safety of our children are a priority for the town. And that's basically what I want to share. So.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Patricia.
Jonathan DeJoy.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan DeJoy, attorney for
Evening.
the applicant from the law firm Catania Mann and Ryder. Obviously, there have been a lot of objections from the public tonight, so maybe I will ask you if you'd like me to try to address some of those, or if you'd like to ask me questions first.
How come nobody was notified of the public hearing?
That I don't know. As far as I know, there were the mailings were sent out.
When were they sent out?
I wasn't involved with them, so I'm not sure, but I did see a copy of a return receipt.
Who sent them out?
Wait, I'm sorry. You're not involved in it, but you're representing the applicant?
No, I'm representing the applicant. I didn't do the mailings.
Did the applicant do the mailings?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a return receipt. They showed me a copy of one.
Do you have a copy of it here?
No.
Go ahead, Doris, sorry.
Well, that was my question. Who sent out the mailings?
My client did.
Your client sent out the mailings?
Yes.
And you have a receipt of that? Your client sent out the mailings for the short-term rental application and also for the public hearing?
I wasn't involved when they applied, so I can't say for sure about the application, but they showed me a copy of a return receipt for tonight. I didn't look at each individual mailing, so I can't speak to that.
What was the date of the receipt?
I don't remember.
I just can't believe that you being an attorney and them showing you a copy of it, you didn't at least take a photograph with your phone.
No.
Okay.
I mean, if it needs to be renoticed, I assume the board is...
To me, it's too late. From where I stand, it's too late. Plus the fact, your client was notified multiple times after violation from our building department that he was not allowed to rent it.
And from what I understand, it has not been rented at all since then. There are...
Listen, I got to laugh too because I drive by there every day.
If I may, the owners and their families have been using the home, not as a rental, but like any other...
Quiet, please, please. Okay. So, counsel, I have one other part. In the application, there are statements from the owners, both of them of BNS Fortune Realty, that essentially, are to say who the representatives of the corporation are. So on one of them, it says, I, Jacob Deutsch, and then it's signed by Jacob Deutsch. On page 3, it says, I, Jacob Deutsch, and it's signed by Levy Marr. I mean, to me, that doesn't obviously sit well. It's incorrect, and I would think...
No, it's defective at the least.
Defective, yeah, okay. Okay.
Supervisor, if I could just comment, I had emailed Mr. Deutsch and the other gentleman on June 5th, and that notice of publication was in the paper on June 9th. So my email indicated about the mailing and the return of the cards to my office for the mailing.
Okay, so wait. But the cards were never sent to the residents?
I had emailed Mr. Deutsch and the other gentleman on June 5th to please find the attached public hearing notice for your short-term rental application. I indicated the date it would be published, and he will need to contact the town assessor as far as getting the names of those residents within 500 feet if he does not already have them. He will need to do a certified mailing of the public notice to those residents provided by the assessor. Once mailed, please send me copies of the certified mailing. I will need the green cards once they are returned. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Did you get a response?
That was
No.
the 5th of June.
No, it's the 5th of June. Okay. Brian, listen, I'm going to say that aside from the defective aspect of it and the fact that the public and the residents weren't notified, I shouldn't say the public, the residents weren't notified via mail, does that constitute enough of a defect that we can deny it this evening?
I don't know if you need to deny it. The board could just declare that the application's defective because one of the requirements of the application itself is proof of the mailing, which is supposed to be submitted with the application. So it's not a matter of denial, which would be a decision on the merits, but the fact that the application is defective for some of the reasons you stated and the fact that there was not mailing under the code and proof of mailing to the residents.
Question, if we find it defective, can the applicant still come back before us in the future with a new application?
Yeah, there wouldn't be anything prohibiting that. Or at the board's, discretion, you can continue the hearing and require compliance with all provisions before you continue it. It's really up to the board in that case.
So I'm looking through this application packet, and there are two receipts here. They're both for the same thing. They're both dated the same day and the same time, and they're both for stamps. Somebody bought 30 stamps on January 26th at noon, and then they submitted a second receipt for the same thing. Now, you could argue that the stamps would be proof of mailing. However, that needs to be sent out via certified mail, correct? When your applicant was supposed to notify these residents about this application, it was supposed to be sent out via certified mail. And generally, and you know this because you've been through this.
I just want to correct it. It's proof of mailing.
Proof of mailing.
Proof of mailing.
Okay. Generally, we do get a proof of mailing for each individual address.
Yeah, you can
Right.
send something and just get proof of mailing from the post office. The receipt wouldn't constitute proof of mailing.
Now, the second receipt is for the same thing, dated the same day. I would presume that this second receipt is supposed to be submitted for the public hearing, which would never have been mailed out January 26th.
Yeah, I don't know what the receipts are for. I wasn't involved back then, so I can't speak to that. If there was an issue with the mailings or the application's otherwise defective, we're happy to redo it.
Your client is not here?
No.
Okay. Any particular reason why he didn't come?
No.
Okay, because he does, one of them lives in Monroe, one of them lives in Highland Mills.
Yeah,
Okay.
they asked me to be here.
And on multiple times, our building inspector, in red, on emails said, as a reminder, you are not to use the house as an STR until a permit is issued.
Correct. And
Okay.
there was a violation issued that's in town court, and as part of those proceedings, my client was told to apply for a permit.
He's using it without a permit.
Well, not as a short-term rental.
It Said used.
as a short-term rental.
As an STR, I'll let council decide that definition.
Code provision is, I mean, the 7-day notice, I didn't understand what you were saying it was used for.
I'm sorry,
Saying it wasn't rented, what was it, what was he doing with it?
used for family.
No, that's a matter of proof, obviously. I can't speak to the factually what happened there, but once a notice went out, a violation, after 7 days, there couldn't be any further rentals under the code.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to deny the permit.
I'm the second.
Based on the amount of defects in the application and the fact that the owner has not reached back out to our clerk multiple times. Did you second?
Yeah, I'll second. Council has no information whatsoever either to.
Well, I haven't heard any proof that the mailings weren't done.
Well, let me just speak to that.
Supervisor. Oh, quiet, please, quiet.
The code requires proof with the application, so you do need proof.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay, so moved. The application is denied. Thank you, Mr. LaJoy. Okay. Next item up is the acceptance of the June 3rd, 2024 minutes.
Supervisor, can I just interrupt? I know you rejected the application, but do you have to close the public hearing or no?
Yes,
Yeah.
right? We've made a decision on it?
And the motion to make it one and the same, close the
Okay,
public
so
hearing.
I'll
and
amend
deny.
the motion to make it that we close the public hearing on 8 Keith Lane and to deny the application. Yep, 1 second.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay, just come up to the mic. I'm not going to take everybody. You're the first one to ask, so. Is it about enforcement now? I knew you were going to
I'm
ask
just wondering what we do with the renters that are coming to our neighborhood.
that. We will have our building department handle it, and if there's an issue, there's a few of you out there that have my cell number. You contact me, and I will make sure that the state police are called there. Sue, you're killing me. I didn't want to get into this. Real quick, hurry up. Last one, sorry.
My argument with the fact that it's family members that are there, I have family that come and visit me. I don't advertise my house as Round Lake Park home or
Right.
anything like that, whereas this house has been advertised as the Lake House,
Gotcha.
not meant for family.
Right. We denied. Thank you. Okay, item 5.1 is the acceptance of the June 3rd, 2024 minutes.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
So moved. Order the claims. We have a general fund abstract. Be it resolved that Town Board of Town of Monroe requests approval of abstract 24-08, general fund containing check 35385 through 35430, totaling $63,669.19. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
So moved. Item 6.2 is the escrow fund. Be it resolved, and I'll make this motion, Town Board of Town of Monroe requests approval of abstract number 24-3, escrow fund containing checks 2141 through 2153, totaling $128,295.28.
Pool will
Will
second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay. 7.1, budget transfer abstract. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Monroe approves budget transfer abstract 24-13 in the amount of $1,239.38, which is a dollar-a-ride expenditure adjustment.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Hingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay. Okay, so I held off on the food truck festival because I didn't want the Boy Scouts here for this. So we had a great food truck festival. There was easily 4,500 people there. We transported just shy of 2,000 people through our dial ride. I want to thank the dial ride, the highway maintenance and organizers, the great bands, and the great food trucks. We got great positive feedback from everyone. The first two ladies of Harriman, who did an awesome job manning the beer garden. They had an exceptional number of volunteers come out. I think it was over 21. In 2025, the Monroe Fire District will be sponsoring the Firemen's Parade, and the funds generated from that will go to help them sponsor the Firemen's Parade in 2025.
You have any idea?
It's going to be over 1,900. I just don't know how much yet. I'm sure it's going to break 2,000. So most of those proceeds will go towards that parade, and there's going to be a portion of it that's going to go towards the memorial garden. Unfortunately, we had an incident in the morning, and I say this only because it affected two of our employees, two of our very dedicated employees who take to heart what they do every single day. There was Councilman Richardson came down to the food truck with a purpose. She admitted she came down with a purpose, and she got in the face of my secretary as well as our parks director. It was grandstanding, and I bring this up because over the last 2 days, there have been posts on social media that were so far-fetched, and there were lies associated with it. Probably 90% of it was lies, and it's a disgrace that people have to deal with that, especially our employees who are dedicated and who do everything they can for the benefit of these residents. She had screamed a lot at two of our employees, and listen, as far as I'm concerned, it was an unbelievable display of immaturity, and sadly, everybody on this dais should realize for this town board, she has created a hostile environment and a work environment for our employees. There were vendors that witnessed it and actually came up to myself and to the employees asking if they were okay. And there were witnesses there, and the state police were witnesses. The state police were not called there. They were there because they were setting up a booth for recruitment. And what's really unbelievable to me is the unnecessary display of hostility that she exhibited only 8 weeks after we had our Town of Monroe Workplace Violence Seminar. And every member of the town board takes it seriously, except one. I know Mary has been extremely diligent in making sure that our employees are protected. I know Dory has, I have, I know Sal has. It's just a shame that someone had to come down and they had to ruin the morning for two of our employees. And I say two, but I'm going to say that there was more because our highway department witnessed it, along with our maintenance department. Not all of them, but some of the members that were there. I get appalled when people try and grandstand and create lies and just want to do it for their own benefit. And they do it at our employees' expense. There was a comment made in the post on the political page, Preserve Monroe, that said that my secretary forwards emails whenever there's a complaint to me. There is no one in this building who has more integrity than her. And it's a shame that it's gotten to this. She posts about it, doesn't remember her erratic behavior. She screamed at the employees. The state police actually had to talk her down, and I'm not sure if they asked her to leave or she left on her own. I don't know what in God's name she was trying to accomplish, but I'm just going to say that this will not be allowed to happen to our employees, our residents, or anyone else. And I know that in the past, the chairman of our Conservation Commission has been attacked. I know Dory's been attacked. I've been attacked. I know Sal's been attacked. And it's 100% unjustified. And I will say that anyone reading Preserve Monroe should really take a deep look at the lies that are on there. And instead of supporting this person, condemn her for her comments that are just despicable. Anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing.
Go ahead.
We have been running this food truck festival for 5 years. It's a great group of people that do it. It's been me, the supervisor, Anne Marie, and Jen. And to see someone deliberately, and I mean deliberately, come to that event at 8 or 8:30 in the morning, while we are in our zone doing our thing. We have 20 food trucks there. We have 5 bands. We have a stage to set up. We have highway that is cleaning tree limbs, and we're walking the grounds, making sure there's 4,000 or 5,000 people. It's a big event, and we care about the event immensely. And to have someone come down there and deliberately try to get in our faces and discuss ridiculous comments is just, it's incredible. Did I get mad? I did. I got in between the two of them, and I separated them because I honestly thought that Maureen was going to hit someone. I really did.
Not me.
No. Maureen and Jen. I love Jen. I think she's incredible for this town. She works very hard. And, you know, I got upset. Did I physically do anything to her? Absolutely not. Insane. But that food truck festival is one of the great fabrics of this community. And to see someone come down there and deliberately try to destroy it, we weren't going to have it. It's just childish behavior, and it shouldn't be tolerated.
Okay. So I'd like to add a resolution to this evening. I handed it out to the board this evening. Councilwoman Hull, can you please read it?
Yes, this is a resolution establishing policy prohibiting unscheduled in-person visits to certain town offices. So I will, do you want me to read the whereas clauses?
Yeah, because it's a short one.
It's short. Whereas the town of Monroe, referred to as the town, desires to ensure a safe and harmonious working environment, and whereas the town board desires to minimize disruption to its employees and officials and the services that they provide, and whereas certain employees have reported being uncomfortable with conduct and disruptions from town council person Maureen Richardson appearing in person at their town offices, often without notice, disrupting their ability to properly perform their town work, and whereas such unexpected in-person visits to the offices of town employees disrupt the work being performed by such employees, and whereas pursuant to town law, Section 63, Part 3, 64, Part 3, the town board has management, custody, and control of town lands, buildings, and property, and whereas the town board desires to ensure such disruptions are minimized, now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as if set forth in full herein. Section 2, based on concerns expressed by certain employees, the town board hereby determines that Councilwoman Richardson shall not be permitted to access the town offices of the Secretary to the Supervisor, the Town Finance Office, or the Office of the Recreation Director in person without prior notice and appointment. Section 3, nothing herein shall be construed to limit Councilperson Richardson's access to town records and information which shall continue to be provided in the same manner in which other council persons are provided such information, but shall only prohibit access to such offices without advance notice scheduling of an appointment. Section 4, such scheduling and notice of in-person visits shall be handled through the town supervisor's office. Section 5, in the event of any dispute in carrying out the provisions of this resolution, the town board shall be the body authorized to render determinations to resolve any disputes. Section 6, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I make a motion that we adopt this resolution establishing policy prohibiting unscheduled in-person visits to certain town offices.
Second for discussion. How can she comply with this? Section 4, such scheduling and notice of in-person visits shall be handled through the town supervisor's office.
Email me.
Simply an email?
An email saying that she wants to meet with so-and-so. I'll clear it with them if they feel, they're not in danger.
Suppose it's a topic that you have a different opinion than her.
It doesn't matter, Mary.
Okay, I just want to make it, I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
I just
listen,
want to
Mary,
make sure. If she
Mary.
sends an email, it'll be,
Every topic we have a
processed.
difference of opinion of.
well, I don't know about every topic, but
Every topic.
Anything else?
that's my
Call the question.
Bingham nay.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay. Under new business, item 8.1 is the employee retirement of Victor Thompson, Maintenance Director. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe made a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Victor Thompson, Maintenance Department, effective June 14th, 2024.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
With regret, Pool, aye.
Yes, we had a little gathering for, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you for coming, appreciate it. We actually had a little gathering last week for both Webster and Victor. And they were both touched, they both got a little emotional. It was nice that their family members were there. And actually, Webster actually had his pastor come in, which is cool. It was really nice, so.
Good to see both of them on Saturday as well.
Yeah, so yeah, with regret, we have to accept their resignation. Okay. We also have an employee resignation of Marcus Colon from Moodna. This is a resolution accepting the resignation of Marcus Colon. I don't know, Mary, would you like to make it since you're on the Moodna board?
I'll accept the resignation of Marcus Cologne effective 5/31/24. He's off to boot camp, from what I understand. So,
Good, for the Marines.
for the Marines, yes.
Yep. Okay,
I need a second. Thank you.
call the question.
Bingham aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
With gratitude for his service, Pool, aye.
Absolutely, thank you. Okay. 8.3 is Stephen Schaefer, labor in Moodna. Mary?
Scheduled to start July 1 at $25 an hour, and he was approved by Orange County.
Civil Service.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Pre-approved, okay.
Pre-approved.
I'll second.
Bingham aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
So moved. Okay. Item 8.4, you have a list in front of you, and it's a list for the 2024 youth activity camp staff hires. I'm going to make a motion that approving the following individuals for employment with the youth activity camp at Smith Close Park for seasonal period indicated below, pending pre-approval from the Orange County Department of Human Resources.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 8.5 is the New York State Standard Workday Resolution. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe have a standard workday resolution as required by New York State and local retirement for the following Town of Monroe employee job titles and corresponding standard workday hours. All the titles are listed here. So we all know what we're approving. It's all the job title ID descriptions in the Town of Monroe, and it's either 7 hours or 8 hours. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Sure.
Judge McKnight the other day, not the other day, but the other town board meeting, he had his own. So can people still submit their own standard workday?
I would think yes, if it's more, Ryan?
Somebody comes into office, it's usually redone for that person, which might be why his was done. So every so often, the town board will adopt one that might be specific to a person because they're finished with their, what they call record of activities, the ROA, and then the resolution has to be adopted to reflect that person as well. So this is just the standard workday where you're setting what the workday is, but there are other resolutions that would be specific to calculate the hours and, based on that record of activities. So the record of activities goes to the clerk, and then a resolution is adopted, and that has to be done every 8 years unless things change for the elected officials.
And council, it's my understanding that you can either do the ROA, or if you have a timekeeping timesheet system, you can opt to do that.
That's correct. If you have timekeeping, you don't need to do the ROA if you punch in or, have a system.
Okay.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, next up is to set the public hearing for the bonding of Water District 1 improvements. I'd like to set that date for July 15th, 2024 at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay. Next item is 8.7, which is a New York State Department of Transportation letter. I'll read it quickly. Dear Mr. Villarosa, who's with the Orange County Department of Public Works, when we submit a request, it's got to go to Orange County, then Orange County sends it to the state. Thank you for your letter to the New York State Department of Transportation dated November 6, 2023, requesting a speed limit reduction on Lakes Road between School Road and Mine Road in the town of Monroe. A formal speed study has been completed at this location. The study included a field review of the roadway geometry and physical conditions of County Route 5 in the town of Monroe. The field review found that the development and characteristics on County Route 5 have not changed within the past 10 years. Therefore, New York State DOT does not recommend any speed change to the existing 30 miles an hour and 40 miles an hour speed limit buffer to the 55 mile per hour state speed limit segment south of LaRue Road. A reduced speed limit would not reflect the actual operating condition of the roadway and consequently not be adhered to by majority of the motorists. That's really great to say. Huh? It is also the responsibility of the Orange County Department of Public Works to determine if existing conditions on the roadway may require additional signing. Thank you for your interest and support in the transportation system. I just wanted to read that so everybody understands we do try to do these things, and it took almost 8 months. So, okay. Next up is review of the short-term rental application for 98 Osseo Park, SBL 20-10-22. The applicant here? No?
I don't see them.
Okay. The application was deemed complete. There were no objection letters sent in. So we don't have to set a public hearing,
No, we don't.
and we can either approve or deny it this evening.
I'm just checking for that proof of mailing.
Well, proof of mailing to the residents.
Yes, here it is. It's right here.
Yep.
Date on that
So
one.
there's,
It's all listed.
And
Yep.
that one has a date that's more current, correct?
It does, but not only that, it's actually showing certified mail receipt, which is
And it lists the name.
consistently has been what we have been receiving for these proofs of mailings. Okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the short-term rental application at 98 Osseo Park Road.
Supervisor, just add to that, and that the town board determines the factors in section 40-8 have been met in the short-term rental law.
Okay. Do you want to prepare a resolution for next meeting?
Normally, we would draft, there's 5 factors, but one of them's new construction, so there's really only 4 that are addressed. So if you want, we could draft that and put it on for the next meeting.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
that sounds like a better idea.
Let's do that. I'll rescind that motion. And have it placed on the agenda for July 15th. Okay. Next up is a land donation. We have been the beneficiary, or will be the beneficiary of a land donation. It's a small parcel from, hold on, sorry, just getting through these short-term rental. Okay, we need a resolution authorizing a title search for SBL 38-3-1. The parcel being donated to the town of Monroe by Barbara and Wayne Wetterman. I've spoken to Mrs. Wetterman multiple times, and we've emailed multiple times, and she's very, very happy to do this. So I need a motion authorizing a title search.
Total cost is approximately $750, but that would include the title insurance policy once, if the transaction goes through.
Okay. So, and you have to sign this?
No, I don't have to sign it. We just
Okay.
need a motion.
Yeah, we just need authorization because of their cost involved.
Okay. So I make a motion that we authorize the title search for the property identified as SBL 38-3-1.
Okay.
Plus
Yeah.
the cost of $750.
I'll second. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Okay, so moved. Next up is establishing points of contact for our consultants. Brian and I had some conversation about this. I also spoke to 3 of our other consultants, and they have expressed a desire for a streamlined approach like we've had in the past. I have a resolution that I will read. It says, a resolution establishing policy for coordination and communication with town consultants and use of consultant services. Whereas the town of Monroe contacts with various consultants and professionals, also known as consultants, for the services to the town, and whereas the town board desires to minimize duplication of services by consultants, avoid the provision of unnecessary service by consultants, prevent disorganized communications between town and consultants, avoid confusion on the part of consultants as to whom they should communicate with from the town, and to ensure a defined flow of communication between consultants and the town. Whereas the town board desires to ensure a streamlined process for managing consultant communications that streamline such services within the town of Monroe, enhancing operational efficiency and fiscal responsibility. Whereas the town supervisor of the town of Monroe is the only full-time board member who is present and oversees the day-to-day operations of the town, and whereas it is essential that the consultants working with the town of Monroe are provided with clear guidance on how they communicate with the town board to ensure consistent and efficient operations. And whereas in the absence of policy coordinating communication with consultants, the town will incur additional costs. Some may be unnecessary in the absence of a coordinated and managed approach. And whereas the town board determines that it is in the best interest of the town to establish a policy for communications with consultants and consultant activities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein by reference as if set forth in full herein. Section 2, pursuant to the provisions of town law, Section 64, parentheses 1 and 23, and Town Law 29, parentheses 16. The Town Board hereby designates the Town Supervisor to act as the coordinator and primary point of contact for consultants to the town, and shall be designated as the primary town representative to engage in communication with consultants. Section 3, the town supervisor shall be responsible for coordinating all communications between consultants and the town board, providing consultants with necessary information and instructions to ensure their services are aligned with the town's needs and objectives, ensuring that any directives or questions from the town board are promptly relayed to the appropriate consultant. D, monitoring and managing the interactions with consultants to prevent unnecessary expenditures and ensure that consulting services are utilized efficiently. Section 4, consultants to the town shall direct all reports, inquiries, and updates to the town supervisor's office. B, refrain from contacting individual town board members directly unless explicitly authorized by the town supervisor or previously authorized to do so by the town board. Section 5, disputes in administration of this policy. In the event of a dispute in the administration of this policy, the town board, by resolution, may direct the activities of a consultant or direct the supervisor or any consultant issue that arises. That was A, sorry. Section 5B, in the event that a town board member asserts being improperly denied access to a consultant for an authorized purpose, the town board may, by resolution, authorize the consultant to perform the requested service. Section 6, the town board may amend this policy by a duly adopted resolution. Section 7, this resolution shall be effective immediately. I'll make that motion.
Second for discussion.
Sure.
Can we table this until our other council person is present, Maureen Richardson?
Make a motion to table and see if it's seconded.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table this resolution. Okay, lacking a second, I guess it fails.
Yep.
So I do have some questions.
Sure.
Which consultants specifically does this apply to?
This applies to all the consultants.
Because
I will say this. You have worked with consultants in the past.
Yeah.
That's not changing.
because Millennium is a flat fee.
Right.
So we wouldn't be incurring any new costs with that consultant, correct?
100%, but as Dave told me, he takes multiple calls on similar grants, and it's counterproductive for him. Now, you got MHE.
Yes.
You have,
He charges by hour unless we have a specific agreement with him for a special project.
yes.
Yes.
You have Mr. Nugent.
And he's
and
on a
his firm.
retainer.
He's on a retainer.
Yeah,
but
I point out we are, but keep in mind that, as we've discussed, as those usage increases, then it gets reevaluated. That retainer may very well go up based on the usage. So it's not that there's no effect by increased hours. So in other words, if after a year we look at it and, you're way up, then usually we're going to propose an increase to the town. Likewise, as we've done in the past, when those hours dropped, we've reduced the town's retainer.
Answers that. What costs to date can you identify that the town has incurred? Is it $1,000? Is it $100? Do we have a specific amount?
I'm going to say Mr. Nugent has got to be about $2,500 to $3,000. And I know MHE has probably a few hundred there.
Don't remember signing about anything from MHE related to something that Councilwoman questioned. And how will this procedure be enacted? Again, will an email be sufficient to send to the supervisor to say,
Fine with that.
okay, so it'd be an email.
Or I think, just so you're clear, as was touched on, if you're already working on something or you're at a meeting tonight and the board can say, roll with it, that's not intended to require you to then send emails each time. It's kind of room for pre-authorization on matters.
The other consultant who expressed a need for this was our planner, Max Stack.
Well, there was a big confusion because I did send Max the resolution, and that seemed to have ended up with 33 emails after that. So, you know,
I don't think the Max's concern was pertaining to you.
no, but he started to open up all the questions, and I said, I'm just trying to do what the resolution that the town board said. And as I said, then there were numerous other emails, not just from Councilwoman Richardson, but other members of the board, and that's why I wanted to know specifically which consultants this would apply to.
Yeah, see, the issue with that, Councilwoman Bingham, is that there was a resolution made, there wasn't a designated person placed in charge of it.
No, I was referring to the dollar amount that I requested for
From
the plan.
yeah,
Right, and
okay.
that, like I said, that then seemed to open up the whole can of worms, I'll call
Right.
it, that started when I was just looking for a simple answer, which I believe we got from Bonnie Franson today. So I think this just opens up, I'm not in favor of this, that's all I'm going to say.
The other thing is, I've had opportunities to meet with some of these people outside of Town Hall, right? Throughout the county, throughout several different types of meetings. And Councilwoman Richardson is developing a reputation. And that reputation is extending to the town board and the town of Monroe, and it is not a good one. And we need to be able to provide these consultants with the knowledge that they can get their work done by streamlining everything through one person, as is done in every other municipality throughout the county. It is generally the town supervisor who does all of the communications with the consultants. They are very frustrated.
I said, I think that answers my questions, but I'm still not in favor of it. But, yeah, that being said, it's not tabled, it's moving forward, so.
Call the question?
Bingham, nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you. Item 8.11 is motion to approve the general code estimate to update the town code to include local laws 1 through 4 of 2024. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe made a motion to approve the general code estimate to update town code to include local laws 1 through 4 of 2024. Estimate is between $1,645 and $2,015. I'll make that motion. Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay. Next up is 8.12, which is a motion to approve General Code, E-Code 360 Annual Maintenance. I will make a motion to approve the Town Board spending for the General Code and E-Code 360, an annual maintenance invoice totaling $1,195.
Bingham will second.
Madam Clerk, this is in your budget already, too, correct?
I don't think it's a budget line of mine.
It's not?
I don't believe so.
But it's in the budget, E-Code?
It should be,
Yeah,
yes.
okay. All right.
It might be in the building department's budget.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, general code, yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 9.1, short-term rental application of 649 Lakes Road, SBL 29-1-34.1. So, wait a minute, sorry. So, Mr. Nugent, we had discussion on this last month and a few other times at public hearings. I know that we have spoken to Ben about a specific issue that is written into the STR. Can you just explain that to the board and the public, please?
So last time for the factors for short-term rental approval or disapproval. One of the primary issues of this application concerned privacy screening. However, in reviewing the factors in the code and the application, there's a provision, factor number 3, that says the structure and the lot are conforming to the requirements of the chapter and receive variances. And then it says, and the lot and structure are not considered existing non-conforming uses or buildings. And this application has an indication in the letter from council that it is a non-conforming building. Apparently this building is, I think, within inches or a couple of feet of the property line. So one of the things you would have to determine is that this structure is not considered an existing non-conforming use or building, but the record indicates it is a non-conforming building. So the resolution before you adds that as a secondary factor, independent factor besides the privacy screening issue for the disapproval.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know in the past when people had non-conforming things, they went to the ZBA and they got a variance. Do we know if there was ever a variance? Because this property was not a short-term rental, but it was a long-term rental in prior years, not even that long ago, because there is one of the things I noticed, it says, it included a picture of a sign, and it said, well, I actually have an extra copy if somebody doesn't have it on their phone, that it was a private road leading up to that short-term rental for residents and guests only, no trespassing. And I actually did take a drive up there today, and the sign is there. It's kind of buried behind a lot of bushes. So I was just wondering, is there any record that we have, or should we look into obtaining if there was a variance granted in the past?
There's nothing in the record of a variance, and there's a submission by council on May 6th indicating that it is a pre-existing non-conforming, that the property is in a pre-existing non-conforming state, which wouldn't prevent it from being used as what it is, a residence. It doesn't change the use, and that could continue, but the way the STR code is written, you would have to be in compliance in order to get an STR permit. You can't have a non-conformance, a pre-existing non-conformance.
But it was a long-term rental, so now because they're looking for a short-term rental, that excludes them.
Don't have any code provisions about long-term rentals, though. That's just something that wasn't prohibited, so people would have just rented because there was nothing telling them they couldn't. But you now have a code provision that says you, as the board, must determine that there's no non-conforming building, pre-existing non-conforming building. And so, based on the location of this, it's within a couple of feet or less of the property line.
Right, there's a fence there. But if they wanted to go back to a long-term rental, that would be something this applicant could do?
I'm not aware that you have any regulations on long-term rentals.
They just
Somebody
have
could
to
rent a
apply.
house.
They just have to register.
Yeah, I mean, that's the rental registration, but
Rental registry,
you only, you don't prohibit rentals of any duration at this point.
okay. My confusion, thank you.
I don't see the resolution. Hold on, I don't see the resolution. I just see a discussion item.
Okay. Council, I'm sorry, my computer's acting up. I can't download the resolution. Can you please read it?
Do you want to read the whole resolution? I mean, I can do that. It's up to you. The board has it before it. You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you want, I can.
All right, so then just read the whereas, not the whereas,
Yeah, the be it resolved.
The be it
Let me
resolved.
just find that one.
please.
just want to warn you, it's a little bit lengthy, so you want,
No.
Just the now therefore be it resolved.
no, that is a lengthy part, because it's all the determinations. So it's up to the board. You don't need to read it. It should be publicly available, and it can be distributed, but if you want, I'll go through that, but it has all of the determinations that were made.
Public has the,
Do you all have the resolution? Have you
I
seen-
have it, but I can't.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll just read it then. I'll just read it in like that car dealership really fast. into
The
commercial
Micro Machines
voice.
commercial?
All right, so I'm just going to read it now. Therefore, be it resolved, the resolution is entitled Resolution Disapproving Short-Term Rental at 649 Lakes Road, sought by applicant 651 Lakes LLC. Section 1, the above whereas clauses are incorporated herein as set forth in full. Section 2, pursuant to Town Code Section 4080-8 sub F, the town board must determine the 5 standards are met if applicable, and if any factor is determined not to be met by the town board, the short-term rental must be denied. The instant application, sorry, one second. Instant application, there is no expansion or construction under Town Code Section 40-8F2, so the only remaining factors need to be addressed. The Town Board, in reviewing the remaining 4 factors, determines that Subdivision A, with respect to the 3rd factor, the provision of the Town Code Section 40-8F3 requires that the following standard is met. Quote, the structure and lot are conforming to the requirements of this chapter or have received variances for any nonconformances, and the lot and structure are not considered existing nonconforming uses or buildings. Unquote. In its submission, the applicant's counsel in a May 6, 2024 letter in discussing the setbacks on the lot conceded that the current buildings are legal pre-existing nonconforming. While the applicant is correct that nonconforming buildings may lawfully continue in the absence of a short-term rental, the town board cannot determine that the above standard is met to allow the issuance of a short-term rental permit. Accordingly, the town board determines that under Town Code Section 40-8F3, the standard has not been met and the application must be denied on such ground, independent of any other determinations set forth herein. Subdivision B, with respect to the 4th factor, the provision of the Town Code Section 40-8F4 require that the following standard is met. Quote, adjoining residences and their yards are not generally afforded a reasonable degree of privacy from view by occupants of the proposed vacation residence or partial vacation residence by the imposition of landscaping and privacy fencing, unquote. Based on the town board's review of the submissions of the applicant and objectors showing the relationship of the residences and yards with respect to landscaping and privacy fencing, the town board determines that this standard has not been met. While the applicant submitted certain documents concerning the submission of distances between residential buildings, the code is not limited to concerns of privacy relating to the residential structures only, but also into the yards associated with those residential structures. Accordingly, the town board determines that under Town Code Section 40-8F4, the standard has not been met and the application must be denied on such ground, independent of any other determination set forth herein. Section C, the Town Code Section 40-8F1 requires the following standard to be met. Quote, adequate parking facilities are provided to meet the parking requirement of 4 off-street parking spaces which are provided in a manner that does not impact the residential character of the neighborhood, close quote. The town board determines that this standard has been met. In subdivision D, the Town Code Section 40-8F5 requires the following standard to be met. The number of quote, the number of permitted short-term rentals surrounding the proposed property are not excessive in number so as to result in an adverse character impacts to principal residences in the neighborhood, close quote. The town board determines that this standard has been met. Section 3, the town board hereby disapproves the short-term rental application for 649 Lakes Road for the reasons set forth herein. Section 4, the town supervisor and any other officer or employee as directed by the town supervisor is hereby authorized to take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. And Section 5, this resolution shall be effective immediately. So someone would need to make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Who will second?
Discussion? Call a question?
Bingham, aye.
Stancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who aye?
Okay, so moved. Next item up, I think he asked to table it. Am I correct? Oh, no, I'm thinking
You're thinking of 21
Front 21
Front
Front Street, right. Ruby Road. Is the owner from Ruby Road here? No? Oh, there you are. Come on up. I just have a couple questions.
Slide it towards you.
Hello.
There you
Okay.
go.
So, just state your name for the record, please.
Andrew Kopelman.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. So my question is, are you aware if you're a non-conforming property? I don't know. I'm asking the question.
The property has no nonconformances.
Okay. All right. The only thing is it's a shared driveway, right?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions?
For Mr. Kopelman, no.
No? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That said, what, does anybody have anything to say? No?
I think because it is so close to the other home, they were both residential units, neither one was a rental property in the past. I'm not in favor of having this become a short-term rental property.
I'd like to just get information from the building inspector for him to confirm that there's no nonconformances.
I'm with you.
So I hate to do this to you, I'm sorry, but we're going to place it on the agenda for July 15th, and we'll have a decision on July 15th. We just want to check for any nonconformances, just to be sure. Thank you. Okay. Public, how many people do we have signed up?
4.
4? Okay. I'll make a motion just to take a quick recess, bathroom break, please. Second. Call the question.
Oh, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole eye.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night, Lipa. All right. All right. Okay, I'd like to return from our recess. I'll make a motion to return.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole eye.
So I had a conversation with Brian, and we were talking about the 13 Ruby Road, and I would like to approve it subject to the non-conforming use confirmation. So I'm going to make that motion.
I'll second.
Yeah, I know you spoke already, Mary. Did you want to say anything else? Okay. Okay. So, call the question.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Whole eye.
Okay, so moved. All right. Public speaking?
John Carl. Just a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes for public comment. After John Carl will be Tim Mitz.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm here this evening regarding
Just state your name and your address, please.
John Carl, 21 Pearsall Drive, Monroe, New York.
Thank you.
10950.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight to, again, discuss the garbage contract and bulk items not being picked up. There was a front-load washing machine that sat on half-hollow turn for 2.5 weeks. Also, on Stage Road, there was a dryer that stood on the sidewalk for over 2 weeks. In fact, on Bayberry Drive, on the upper end, where it comes out onto East Monbassia Road, there's been a grill out there for probably almost 2 weeks. So I don't understand why the contractor isn't picking this stuff up. We're paying for the service, but yet it's not, it just seems to, the stuff just seems to sit around. Also, in the contract, I had sent a email today to Town Clerk Bitzer. She responded to me regarding the senior discount of $1 per month, which is part of the contract from 2018. And she advised me I had to speak to the town assessor, which I did. I left a message, and Royce called me back, and he didn't know anything about it. And I was the first one to have called regarding this. Now, this has been in the contract since 2018, and I think it's a disservice to our senior citizens that the contract gives them the right to the $1 a month savings, but yet, unfortunately, nobody knows about it. So maybe a public service announcement by the town regarding the contract for senior citizens that own their homes to make them aware of this and come up with the policy to get the credit on it, because apparently, because we get taxed for the garbage district in our town taxes, so how we get reimbursed for that, I guess I'm here to ask that question to the town board. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porro.
Good evening. First, it's lovely the other day having a conversation with the seniors, explaining where both of our points come from the upcoming election for the Conservative Party.
We're not going to talk about political.
Thank you for that. First thing, I think when you're doing these short-term rentals, you need to look at a lot of the properties that do have common driveways. They have right-of-ways and easements. You need to look at those, because a lot of times they dictate back 30 years that you can only use the driveway for the use that it was at the time. That use doesn't get changed once it's been put into the law, unless the parties agree to it. So I would suggest that you do that, just for people, because I heard you one neighbor talking about it, and if it's a right-of-way, they only have access to get in, to get their home, and to leave, not to make it a commercial property or to make it a rental property. So just be conscious of that when you're doing that. So I appreciate letting you know that. I am very disturbed because I did hear about what happened on Saturday, and I wasn't happy about it either. But my understanding, too, there are police reports out there. Is that correct? And I understand there was some pushing going on. Is that correct?
We don't answer questions until we're done.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering, because if I understand your cause to straighten it out, but I also want to make sure that we all know what's going on as well. I even heard there might be some videos to what went on. And to support you, Mr. Cardone, I would suggest you get those out there so people can see what went on, and that what you did tonight wasn't just purely vindictive, because I know you're trying to control things where the best you can. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Lawrence.
Hi.
Hey,
Tom
Tom.
Lawrence, 83 Osseo Park Road. I had two things I wanted to talk about tonight, and then I looked at the agenda and gave me a third thing. 88 Osseo Park Road. I live on Osseo Park Road. I couldn't ask for a better neighbor. He's a good guy. Yeah, approve him.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin is, if you've got any kind of problem, anything, Kevin is right there. He's just a good neighbor. Sometimes his dog gets loose, but he's a good guy. Yeah, you kept me up late here tonight. So. When we were cleaning up Walton Lake, I'm also a member of Friends of Walton Lake, as you know, I guess. I was looking at the sign across the road from Monarca, telling you what you can and can't do on Walton Lake, you know, like power boats and really no swimming, but that gets ignored, I guess. But it was signed by the Walton Lake Advisory Board, put this sign up. Who are they? I went to the town website looking for it. I Googled Walton Lake Advisory Board. I asked my brother, who he said, oh yeah, that was one guy about 40 years ago put that sign up. My question is there a Walton Lake Advisory Board? And if so, how do we contact them? Is it in Monroe? Is it in Chester? You know, like the old movie, Who Are Those Guys? The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick is for 2025, could we please have town calendars? We didn't have any calendars this year. And
I'll answer it after, sorry.
okay, well, hey, I went to the town hall looking for calendars back in October, and they said, oh, no, we're not doing them this year. I tell you, I'll sell them for you.
You got a deal.
If you can't move those things, I sold insurance for 40 years. I can move those calendars. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to go home and listen to the Gypsy Moths.
All right,
Thanks.
I'm going to answer your question, so, well, I got to wait till the speakers are done.
I'm sorry?
I have to wait till all the speakers are done,
Oh.
then we'll address your questions.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's
So you
all
stayed
for
up
pub-
this late, might as well
That's all
stay.
for public comment.
Well, I thought there was
That was
four.
3.
That's it.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. If anybody else want to go first?
I have a question for trustee Carl. Do you have the section in you said the sorry. I have a question for trustee Carl. Do you have the section of the garbage contract that mentions that $1 discount? You said it was the 2018 contract?
It's Article 1, Section C.
Article 1, section. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mitz, there was no pushing or shoving going on. And as far as police reports, I'll let the supervisor handle that. But pushing and shoving, I was not raised that way. I will never put my hands to a woman. I came in defense of Jen Schnars, the supervisor secretary, and got in between the two of them. And because I felt at that moment, Miss Richardson was on the verge of becoming rather violent. It was 8:30 in the morning. And, you know, like I said before, we were in our zone. We were doing what we need to do to get this festival ready. 4,000 or 5,000 people, sunny day, lots going on. So she came there to provoke. She did provoke. So that's all I'll say.
Dory?
Thank you for bringing that to our attention about the $1 discount. We'll make sure that we get down to the bottom of that, Mr. Carl. And we'll reach out, Mr. Lawrence, we'll reach out to the town of Chester. That advisory board may have to do with the fact that Walton Lake, a portion of Walton Lake is Chester's water source. So we'll reach out to them.
Yeah, in relation, relative to the Walton Lake Advisory Board, I think I would contact Bill Brown because they have a Walton Lake Homeowners Association that basically owns that land in front of Monarca. So that might be a good source. Calendars we didn't sell them well the year before. That's why we didn't do it. But if you're going to guarantee sales,
Our guy.
I'll speak to our photographer and we'll get it done. Yeah, John, thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that. I'm not positive whether that clause was in a prior contract. I don't remember developing that in 2018. It's in the 2018 one. I know that. Yep. So, with respect to that, since this is not a real property tax exemption that's administered by New York State, I'm not certain, and I don't believe Rip is certain how to handle it. All I could say is that I would think it would be handled just as a star exemption would be. Somebody has to come and apply, and we'd have to figure out how that goes. I know Rip left a message with the county, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Actually, I see it right here. So apparently it's something that can be requested. Article 1, Section C reads, "The contractor also agrees that upon written request of any resident owner of a single-family residence serviced by said contractor and upon proof of senior citizenship status, that said senior citizen resident shall be entitled to receive a $1 discount per month from the amount so billed." Now, it follows another section by which the contractor reserves the right to add $1 in the event that the tipping fee. Yep. So there's. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Oh,
can't-
you know what? Nobody
yeah,
can
come
hear
up
you,
to the
John.
mic.
You need to come up to the mic.
No, again, without repeating myself, I did speak to Royce. He said he's never had this before, which has kind of intrigued me that we have it in the contract to help our seniors, but yet from 2018 to now.
Good night, Tom.
What's that?
We're saying goodnight
Good night to Tom.
Mr. Lawrence.
So apparently nobody knows about this.
Right. And I
Because
think that's the bigger issue.
Had they, I'm sure they would be able to get the benefit as a senior. But as it stands, apparently nobody knows about it.
Yep.
And that's why I wanted to come tonight, just bring it to your attention.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
you.
That was helpful.
Thanks, John.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive section to discuss personnel matter.
I'll second.
And, well, actually, 2 personnel matters. So
I'll
you
second again.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay, so moved.
George.
Jorge, you there?
Ooh, that's fly.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to return to our June 17th meeting from executive session.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay, after executive session, I'd like to make a motion to adjust a salary which we approved at the last meeting. The supervisor of transportation, Ed Morales, we originally approved it at $70,000. I'd like to make that adjustment to $73,000. Reason being, the contract for the bus drivers would make it such that a dispatcher was making more than the supervisor of transportation. Do I have a second?
Pool a second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
So moved. I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's no other business.
Pool will second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Okay, so moved. Sorry we were a little long tonight.